Ask the Good Doctor. I'm Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire on Sirius XM Urban View, Channel 126, where talk empowers and becomes action. How is everyone this happy day? Yay. Please jump into this conversation. I'd love for you to engage with me. Join me on Twitter at Ask the Good Doc, on Instagram and Facebook at Ask the Good Doctor, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And we are going to have an intense conversation today, a continuation of what we started to discuss a couple of weeks ago when we are surviving three pandemics currently. Oh, yes, yes, we are. We are surviving coronavirus, we are surviving racism, and we are surviving mental health. Exhalation. And I've got a wonderful show for you today with some wonderful experts who are going to talk to us about how we can overcome specifically mental health. Yes, today is the day I've been promising, and here we are. Let me introduce to you Tracy Ready out of Dallas. We love her. She is the creator of Mental Health Monday, and she is also the creator of the Soul Detox. Welcome, and she's a therapist. Welcome, Tracy. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Welcome back. Welcome back. And we've also got from my hometown, from the south side of Chicago, Dr. Obari Cartman he is the program director of Real Men Charities. How are you, Doc?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you today? Thanks for having me.
Oh, I am great. And I want to get us to jump right into it. We know that COVID is spawning a mental health pandemic, or has spawned a mental health pandemic. Stress levels are at their peaks as the coronavirus shutdowns, job losses, and uncertainty for the future continue for people that have continued through the summer. And the CDC has reported that 40.9% of adults say that they now have an adverse mental health or behavioral condition. That is huge. Unpack that. Let's go to the doctor first. Unpack that.
Well, as you say, it's the overlapping pandemics. When COVID first hit, people were talking about the pre-existing conditions that made us more at risk, that compromise our immune systems, but also our community systems, our family
Uh,
systems, our structural sort of supports, right?
mm,
And so those things made Black communities already more susceptible. So
yes.
the ways in which racism has already made being a Black person a pre-existing condition to whatever ailments, then we are experiencing the combination of those things in real time. What I'm hoping happens with this realization is that we learn that we are because we are vulnerable, we have to work harder to protect ourselves, and then we cannot
Yes.
rely on the American systems of health or governance or education to protect us. That we have to do what you're doing now, which is create platforms, have conversations amongst ourselves, connect across the country, look at these patterns, and say what do we need to do now to make sure our
Mm,
children safe. We can't wait to no vaccines show up. We have to think about what is in our culture, what is in our diets, what is it that we can use to make ourselves less vulnerable to all of these attacks and all the different directions. And for me, mental health is certainly at the center of it. Protecting our minds, protecting our spirits, protecting our emotions. I'm doing
that's right.
that all the time, but especially in urgent times like this, it's got to be at the center of the conversation. So I'm glad
That's
that you're calling this platform.
we have to we have to guard our minds, our bodies, and our
Yeah,
spirit. And now more
that's
than
right.
ever, because
Yeah.
we are getting a front row seat to some horrific things. And I just want to urge everyone to protect our eye gate. Yes, because when you
That's
protect
real.
your eye gate, you're protecting your heart. And I
Yeah.
know that we want to be up to the minute with what's happening out there in these streets, and we want to be
Yeah.
most informed, but so much
hmm
of that is damaging. Tracy, speak to that because we were having a conversation off mic about that earlier today about the news.
Yeah, so it's very common for people to ingest all of this information through the news, through conversations, through social media, And it's going to take intentionality to guard yourself from that. Like he was mentioning, we already as African American people come in with an emotional deficit, with all the
Hmm.
things that have come through our DNA and through our history and past. And
Yeah.
so for something so traumatic to be going on right now, it is absolutely essential for
Mm-hmm.
us to make sure we're guarding ourselves on every angle.
Yes.
Stay
Yeah.
informed as
Yeah.
best as you can, as much as you need to, but um, be mindful that it's doing, as I call, putting strikes on your soul every time you
Mm.
take in one of those news stories or see another Black man shot in the middle of the
Ugh.
street. So yes, you have
Yeah.
to be mindful of that.
Not to mention that, okay, that is the compounding
Right.
of what we
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
enduring. Let's just talk about for a minute. Let's look at CNN. I want us to envision CNN. Since the pandemic began, we have had to endure the ticker ticking off
Hmm.
while the newscast is going on. We have had to endure those numbers increasing just to get the news. But you know who I want to
Right.
speak to? I want to check in. I want to do a health check, a mental health check on the person who's been responsible for increasing that number on the ticker. You understand?
Hmm.
I want to check
Hmm.
in with that person who's making sure that the person who's advancing the ticker to thousands, to hundreds of thousands, who has checked in with that person? That's the village part. And we have to
Hmm.
do more check ins. Tracy, how can we as a community check in more with one another during a time like this?
One of the main things we can do is platforms like this and situations where we can create opportunities to just connect, just
Mm.
talk, just share our what's going on with us. Don't talk about all the news and the pandemic if we can avoid it. And just have opportunities to connect with each other through these technology platforms that we have available to us. Don't just use it for your news or don't just use it for fun and games. Make intentional time to reach out to people who not used to be a saying, look out for our strong friends, look out for everybody now.
Uh,
Reach out to everybody because people are in isolation and starting to feel alone. So very useful. It's very useful to use these platforms to reach out to each other.
and we have seen um, this increase of mental health issues. Like one of the things I'm most concerned about is our children, okay? And especially our children who are college aged, who were supposed to go to college and couldn't. Like my daughter, an incoming freshman. I mean, she took to the bed like Scarlett O'Hara, honey, when they told her that they weren't going to the campus. I'm telling you. And it is just of great concern
Yeah.
to me because young adults are particularly affected, with 18 to 24-year-olds reporting the highest levels of anxiety and depression. And at 62.9%, not only that, a fourth of them have seriously considered suicide. And we're going to get more into that into the second segment. But Dr. Obari, you work a lot with the youngsters. You work a
Yeah.
lot alongside of Black boys.
Yeah.
What have you seen them experience during this time?
I mean, all of the things that we all experience, like if you're not just a little bit sad this year, if you're not a little bit anxious, like all
Right.
the adults are experiencing the same thing. The isolation, the lack of processing for grief, the lack of
Mm.
the things that we go to, food, medicine, outside, all the stuff that we go to. Our beach has been closed in Chicago all summer. Like the stuff that is just is already hard living life, but now you've removed all the things. For the young people, those things have included their social relationships.
Yeah,
I got two boys. My son, I got a 5-year-old, and 8-year-old. To not have seen their friends all summer is just devastating to them. And so,
yeah.
a lot of what is a part of the culture of young people, particularly these days, and more as the technology gets fancier, their world is getting more isolated. And so,
Ah,
when I was a young, I remember playing Mario Brothers on the video games all day, but it wasn't in my pocket. Then the Game
right.
Boy was, there was a Game Boy, but my mom was like, "You ain't carrying that everywhere you go."
Woo.
The kids had now they every moment of their day can be zoned in into a device that just compounds the isolation. And when you talk about the setup for depression, for anxiety, for suicide, isolation is always on the list. When someone says this is what happened, I don't know what happened, it's because someone didn't check in. It's because someone missed
Mm,
the not even like the clinical signs, but it's really just like the
Mhm.
dullness in the eyes. Like so, just those
mm,
that simple, some little off with little
mm.
Johnny. Like some Kwame ain't been acting right. It's those little things that you miss when you don't have community, when you don't have
Yes.
gatherings, and even just have like barbecues, like just simple things that are a part of the rituals of our community. We've lost those things, and our children are suffering so much more because they don't have the tools and the adjustments. And I've started taking yoga. I've been reading more like the stuff that I can do as an adult. I can go on vacation. The stuff that I can do. A lot of young people that I'm working with, they don't have the resources, so they're kind of
Mhm.
stuck. And we're seeing the light dim in a lot of their eyes in ways that we don't have resources to address.
It's interesting that you talk about compounding the isolation with the
Yeah,
game, because one of the things that the games so much interaction with it and of it is because it helps to increase ADD,
yeah,
ADHD. It creates
hmm
a socialization, a lack of the socialization skills that are
hmm
necessary. And we have to become even more creative in terms of engaging them
yeah.
and allowing them to engage with friends. If you have you allowed your children to engage with their friends this summer?
Well,
Have you?
we've been more flexible around family stuff. We got a big family, so we got little cousins and brothers and all that kind of stuff. But I've been more concerned about the friends because I don't know what they're doing in their house, and so I think that we have to have that balance between like who do I trust my kids to be around, and it's not always the classmates. So he
That's
missed
right.
he hasn't all of his classmates have disappeared in his life,
Mm,
right? It's instantly they're gone, and then we're back to school. We all kind of thought that this was going to come and go, and we'll be back to normal. Here we are again. I went to school, picked
another
up his
school
book.
year.
Yeah, and it's just a strange world for them, and then the anxiety of the adults just spills onto them. But they don't have the tools, they don't have the resources to be able to deal with it in the same ways that we do. So I'm really, really concerned about our young people right now.
Me too. And when you talk about the socialization and how their classmates just went poof and who you can
Yeah,
trust, I went with the whole model of if your mama is as anal as I am, then,
yeah,
then
yeah,
you get to come around my kid. All right.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
the end of story. That's how we were
Mhm.
able to separate it, even had a little graduation get together. But I know every one
Mhm.
of those mamas, and they as crazy as me about the hand washing, the vitamins. You
That's
better go
right,
to
right, right,
not drinking that sugar and all of that.
right.
So we're in the
Mhm,
same tribe.
mhm,
And I think that that's it,
mhm, mhm.
in times like these, it becomes more important to have a tribe that's like-minded and like-spirited,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
it's going to come out in the wash. Like just like you said, you don't know where their friends have been. You have
Mhm.
no clue. And I was asking my daughter about a particular two people, like, oh, they're not, why aren't they invited? She's like, because I don't know, because they've been here, there, and everywhere. I've been watching their
That's
Instagram.
right.
Oh,
You've
Mhm.
okay.
trained her well.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right, 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 right.
Now when she says when she sees big groups of people, even like we were watching Beyonce's homecoming, she's like, oh my gosh, that is like a COVID attack. Like, oh my,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, will we ever get back to that? And even if we don't, what we
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
is these things to help keep us. But
Yeah.
Tracy, what in your work have you seen with the people who have been forced to be isolated, who are single? I know that your relationship work is equally as balanced. You do this work as a therapist for single people. How has that been affecting them?
Yeah, so a lot of them are really struggling right now, with the
Mhm.
anxiety of it was already a level of anxiety or concern, if I'm ever going to find a partner, if I'm going to be,
Yeah.
alone forever and that type of thing. So we work through those things. But then when you compound it with this, they're like, how will I meet anybody? How will I even go
Mm,
on dates? How will I do,
mm,
make these real connections with people? I don't trust the internet, and so it's a lot of, as he stated, compounded things that are coming to the forefront, and their
yeah.
hearts are heavy. It's been a real rise in anxiety, with my
Mhm.
with my
Mhm.
clients, and just anxious about the future, and just not knowing
Yes.
what to expect from one day to the next. So we're working through that.
What do you suggest to calm the anxiety?
To get in the moment, to stay in the moment
Mm,
and to
mhm,
recognize what good is happening right now. If you're sitting at home
mhm.
not coughing and able to breathe, you're on the good
That's
side,
right.
And so it's
That's
a
right.
lot of times it's reminding people of the resources and the things, the good things that are happening right there
Yes.
in the moment.
Mhm,
Yes.
And I find that when I'm able to get them back there, they do experience some relief from the anxiety.
mhm.
Dr. Obari, what do you
No, I
recommend?
agree with that completely. That's it's really important to. I mean, because it's as tough of as the year as it's been for me.
Yes.
Sometimes my toughest days are because of Zoom fatigue, right?
Oof.
Mhm.
And if that's my biggest complaint though, and I
Right.
look around at the world and think about people who have lost several people in their family, who have lost jobs, who don't have a home to sit in, right?
Yes.
Then when I get into my moment, I can find so many reasons to be gracious,
To
and
be
then that
thankful.
gratitude becomes a
Oh,
medicine for the anxiety. Where instead
That's
of
it.
worrying about what I don't have or what's not coming, I can be right here in this moment and appreciate all the things that I do have.
Mhm.
yes.
It's harder to complain with that as a perspective. And so and the anxiety is really just all about the future anyway. And so the
Yes.
Exactly.
moment is protects you from having to even be there because it's imaginary. And right now, like
Mm.
the beauty of the uncertainty really should push us into the moment so hard. Because if you can
Wow.
watch TV all day, it won't make you more certain. You listen to the
Right.
scientists; they don't make you more certain. Like there's nowhere to lean on for comfort except for
Yeah.
the moment. So I think that we really got to dig into that much more than we do. And that's a
Mm.
skill. That's not.
It
You could
is.
say it as a meme. You could hashtag it, but you got to practice that. You got to
It is.
practice getting your body to a place where you can pay attention to your breath, where you can listen to
Mhm.
your every part of your body to silence things out. Like that's not something that comes naturally,
It does
particularly
not.
if you're used to having gadgets and dings and bells and whistles all the time. Like
That's
that's not
right.
your brain is uncomfortable in the silence that this
Mm.
moment is giving us as an opportunity.
Mm. It is learned behavior.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's real. Yeah.
It's this moment can teach us how to
Mm-hmm.
be with ourselves.
That's
Yes.
right.
And I think that what we have become is a society that has relied heavily on being with others. And
Mm-hmm.
the, the only children are probably going through this actually easier than people who have
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
lot of siblings because they're escaping their siblings when they're with their friends. But the only child is used to entertaining themselves.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
what you
Mm-hmm.
said about not thinking about what the future and being blessed with right where you are right now. I have a sign up in my kitchen that says, pay attention to your good news.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Your good
Mhm.
news. I can take a
Yeah.
breath. I have a phone. I have a roof over
Yeah.
my head. I'm not hungry. How about I did that with no pain and didn't cough?
That's right.
How about
That's right.
that?
How about that?
Right.
When we start looking at the good news,
Yes.
oh
Yeah.
my, there is so much on which we can be thankful. I'm thankful I don't have to move my car. I'm thankful I can do this show from my home. I'm thankful I can
Mm-hmm.
look out at
Mm-hmm.
trees. I'm thankful I don't have to drive 100 miles to New York City. I'm thankful.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like, even though there's less business, it feels like more money. I'm thankful I
Mm.
don't have to dry clean my clothes.
A
I'm
different
thankful,
kind of
you
courage.
know what I'm saying? My closet is like, oh, where you been? You
Right.
know? I mean,
Been
just
wearing
so
this for 3 days.
I'm right. I've been filling up my gas tank once
Yes.
once
That's
every
right.
3-4 weeks.
That's right. Right. Right.
So I'm paying attention to my good news, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I'm choosing to. I
Mm-hmm.
just want you for one moment to talk about the choice, Tracy.
It absolutely. I'm so glad you said that. It's not something that just you're going to just stumble up on staying in the present. It is really a learned and practiced behavior, and
Yes.
you have to choose it every day.
Yeah.
I know in the past, I personally have struggled with anxiety and panic. That's way before I even knew what it actually was.
Mm.
And so I've got over time have gathered tools on how to just when those thoughts start coming up, you have to literally speak to it. You have to
Yeah.
literally say something to get yourself back in the moment. Because if you don't, you'll just start spiraling into
Yeah.
a place and you end up sitting somewhere on the side of the bed wondering afraid and crying or having a panic attack, messing with your breathing, all kinds of things that can happen. But it is absolutely a choice that you have to make every day. You can't make it one time and then think, oh, I'm good for the week. No, this is sometimes a moment by moment,
Indeed, it is. Well,
just
tell
depending
us,
on what's going on.
we have to actually detox our souls, right? And you've got a program for that coming up. Tell us all about it and how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, so the Soul Detox is an online course that I offer. It's primarily for single ladies, but other ladies can get in on it too. And basically, what it is walking. It's a self-paced program, and the ladies are able to walk themselves through a series of lessons and videos and activities to do the detox, to do the soul detox, and to unpack some of that baggage, some of that heaviness, some of the emotional weight that they're carrying, have been carrying even before, especially before all of this even hit. So we really unpack a lot of that, and it allows them the opportunity to have more bandwidth for the now.
Mm-hmm.
When you kind of get rid of some of that stuff, it creates a little more opportunity, a little more capacity to deal with now in a healthier way. So a lot of the ladies, it's actually something that I started piloting earlier this year. So I have a
Mm-hmm.
small group who've been going through it, and the way they're growing in confidence, the way that they're growing and just being able to stand up for themselves and just things that they would have never thought they could have
That's
accomplished
important.
just through this
That's
little
important.
online course.
That's
They're
important.
doing big things.
Thank you so much for that. How can people be in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can reach me anywhere online at, well, the best place is tracyready.com, and they can get to the Soul Detox on souldetox.net.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tracy Ready. We appreciate you. Dr. Obari, don't go away. When we come back, more with Ask the Good Doctor after this.